Hello again, and welcome to Media War Stories Behind the Scenes Tales from the front lines of the media. I'm your host, Tom Curley. How are you doing? Well, we haven't been around for a while. Uh, Something every Wednesday when we tape would come up, and we couldn't do it, but we're back. I'm back, and so is this joker, Mr. Garry Armstrong,
Hiya.
veteran TV reporter. Garry, how the hell you doing? So,
Welcome to my humble chapeau.
yeah, welcome to my humble
Hey, we're doing
chapeau.
better. Doing better. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
How about
we've
you?
had health issues and I don't even want to go into it. Just long and nightmare health issues with Ellen, although she's on the mend, but it's taken a long
That's
time.
good. That's good.
But before we start, I want everybody to understand that what you're about to see, what you're about to hear, is history. Where this is a history lesson. This is the past. You are going to be looking at something that happened a long time ago, a dark, dark time in America's past. And you're gonna go like, wow, I don't remember that. I didn't remember that happened because it's so far in the past. Because we're going to talk about what happened today and yesterday, and I usually don't edit it for a week and a half or so. So what you're going to see today happened probably a week or 2 weeks ago, and you will have completely forgotten about it because whatever is going on as you're watching this right now, I guarantee will probably be worse. And today is the day
Absolutely.
after what do you I don't know, what do you want to call it? Trumpy McTrump face. The Orange Caligula gave a speech in front of Congress or something. I didn't hear it. I don't. I've seen clips of it. I've seen what the news has said of it. And Garry, you sent me a nice thing, the opinion page of the New York Times. An autocratic thug gloating about he's stripping America for parts. Well, that's pretty much what's going
That
on.
says it. That
Um,
really says it.
yep. What says it? Uh, so I saw, seeing that this is supposed to be about us telling funny stories about shit that happened in the past, but really nothing's
Yeah.
funny anymore. Um, there was an article, I read an opinion piece that said how American media is not prepared for this. They're not prepared for this dictatorship. They're not prepared for this because of the way news works. And I think people need to understand something. And you can explain it better. Why? All right, there was a big thing. The White House pool. Okay, the people that are in the room. Okay, at a White House press conference. Um, that's a very important job. That's if you're in the biz and you're a reporter, your goal is to become the White House correspondent. You get big bucks.
Yep.
There's a lot of cachet. You are now at the next step is becoming an anchor somewhere or being fired. Uh, but the point is that people will go, well, why do you care whether you're in there or not? Because they threw out the AP, the Associated Press, because they
Right.
won't call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of
We,
America, and
Tom,
now
you
they're
mentioned the
threatening to throw out.
Associated. You mentioned the Associated Press. There are a lot of folks out there who simply don't understand who you're talking about when you mention the AP.
Really?
A primer here?
Oh well, oh, okay, go ahead. The Associated Press
No,
is
no, no. I'm throwing the ball to you.
no. Oh, the AP is
It's
one
a
of the
major
major
news gathering
news gathering
wire
operations.
organization. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I'm sorry. You can continue.
No, yeah,
I agree with you.
the AP.
One of the
Okay.
things, yeah, one of the things I remember, and it hasn't changed, is and you used the word cachet. When you do your report after having covering the story at the White House, you sign off. This is Tom Curley, CBS News, with the president at the White House. Now that with the president at the White House, it implies that you actually sat at a table and talked to the president, which is never true or really true. But
Yeah. Yeah.
it's an ego trip thing for reporters, and those who are able to say it. continue to get prime assignments if they're successful. Now, if the thing added to that sign off is you get money, extra fees, if your sound bites are used. And that's assuming you get a sound bite with the president. And that's really very, very difficult. So
Right.
there's a lot of infighting to just get a sound bite. So any question will be asked in the hope that it will be given an answer. And the reporters hope that their names are mentioned. Like, Tom, good to see you. Rah, 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 rah. So there's a lot of ego slobbering over who gets the White House assignment. Now, what people don't understand is that the pool reporter, and there's also a pool photographer and a pool sound person, they're servicing all the other media there. It doesn't mean that you're the best reporter or the best cinematographer. It means your name just came up in the pool that day. And your duty is to just get all you can and give all that information to your competitors.
Yes, and this is something hugely important. All right, let's just backtrack just a second before we get to the pool, which is very important. If you ever watch a press conference and you wonder why is it that every reporter asks the same goddamn question, all right, and the press secretary or whoever goes, I've answered this 5 times. Well, the reason is
Right,
is because they have to have them on camera, their cameraman
right,
shooting them, asking that
right.
question and getting the answer, or they don't get the fee. Now, Ronald Reagan figured this out
Exactly.
early on. It was called access. He simply, if he didn't like a reporter, he simply denied them access to the briefing room, which which
Right.
costs them economically. This has nothing to do with journalism or truth or justice or the American way or anything.
Truth, justice, and the American way.
It's all about the Benjamins. Now, the press pool, and this is hugely important. And this started when there were just 3 networks. History lesson, kiddies. There was a time when there were only 3 networks: ABC, NBC, and
Right.
CBS. And when they would cover events like big political events, like conventions or some huge event, rather than having each network send an entire crew and cameramen, or especially in, like, if there was going to be something from the Oval Office, they're not going to allow 3 cameras, 3 cameramen, 3 audio guys. So they
Right.
created a pool. One network would cover the event and they would feed that event out to everybody. Their job was the pool, and it would rotate. Sometimes it would be ABC, sometimes it would be CBS, sometimes it would be NBC. Interesting historical fact, during Jimmy Carter's convention, all right, ABC Radio had the pool feed, all right, and a good friend of ours, Harry Curtis, who you remember, who used to be our
Yes, I
boss,
do.
who was who
Yes.
was Dickus biggest annoying mother ever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the
Mm-hmm.
audio the audio died during Carter's speech, his acceptance speech, and it was out for a while. And it was the pool feed. And it was because Harry Curtis didn't have them bring extra distribution amplifiers. The distribution amplifier, the little thing you put in one microphone and it feeds it out to all the other networks, died.
Right.
Shit the bed. And he didn't have a replacement for it. And he got fired for that, which we all celebrated
Ah.
because it was really karma. But the point is that, and now, so that's how the pool works with the network. But with the correspondence, the White House Correspondence Association, the one that does the White House Correspondence Dinner, they handle the pool feed. Every day, they assign a certain number of reporters from, AP, this, right wing, left wing,
Right.
but they're
Right.
all organizations, and their job is to report on what happened, keep notes, and they put out the pool. Okay, this is what happened. This is what the president said.
Yes.
All right, and there's no editorializing. They're just there to cover. They're on Air Force One. Okay, this is what
Yeah.
happened on Air Force One. It's a service. Now, the White House recently, a week ago announced that they are going to determine who is in the
Right.
pool. All right. And they're only allowing in right wing propaganda, only people that they like, which means that the notes, the reporting from the pool can no longer be trusted, which is why the White House
Exactly.
Correspondents Association
Exactly.
is flipping out. Because now you're not going to, whatever that this pool says happened, it may have happened, it may not have happened,
It may
and
or may
there's
not
no
have.
way to know.
Correct.
Exactly. And the
Right.
other thing is, and by denying access, and you're not going to get any news at a White House press conference. You're just
Exactly.
going to
Exactly.
get lies and propaganda. So, the AP being thrown out. Now, the other thing is, every other organization should have stood up and walked out when they threw the AP out. But of course, they didn't.
Yes.
Why didn't
Absolutely.
they? Because they would lose money. So, I don't know what the answer to this is. The answer is that the networks and the organizations that we worked at for 40 years are dropping the ball. I am ashamed. I am truly ashamed when I watch what is going on.
I agree. I don't know who it was. It may have been one of the late night guys, but someone was talking about the AP scenario and how the other networks were complaining about it. It's not fair. It's not professional. It probably was Colbert, but the line was, "Well, you're not happy with what's happening. Well, they kicked the AP out. Where were you? How can you complain if you didn't complain about the AP being kicked out?" So hypocrisy, a
Exactly.
lot of it going on.
Hypocrisy
Yeah.
everywhere. So I'm not sure that the mainstream media is up for this. They're constantly, and the other thing that's driving me nuts is, well, everybody's got Trump's number. You just gotta flatter him. Say nice things about him, kiss his ass, kiss the ring. Oh, and then you'll get what you want. No, you don't. I mean that debacle that happened in the White House with Zelensky, where
Yeah.
all right, here's the scenario. Here's the analogy. In 1944, Franklin Delano Roosevelt gives a press conference, okay, with Churchill. And he turns around and
Right.
starts yelling at Churchill, saying, "You haven't said thank you enough for what America's done for you. And you know something? You got to say something nice about
Right.
Hitler. Hitler's a good guy. Why aren't you saying Hitler's a good guy? We're on Hitler's side now." What? That is what this country has done. We are now the bad guy. We're the fucking bad
Yes.
guys.
Each day it becomes more and more incredible. Again, we'll go back to Mr. Colbert talking about you think the stuff is great? Tomorrow's going to be even better. How do you think I know? Just look at what happened yesterday. Today is better than yesterday, or maybe worse, if you put it. We've said this before. We are in uncharted waters, but the subject matter that we're talking about is it is so familiar in terms of history. Think of other times, and I'll go back to the McCarthy era, back in the middle 40s and early 50s, when the media was really being singled out. And not many people jumped on the bandwagon to begin with. There were the people from Hollywood who came in to protest the McCarthy hearings, but there are a lot of people who said nothing. And of course, now people who are Hollywood fans and know a little bit about the actors who were blacklisted, they keep asking, well, how could it happen? Well, just look at what's going on today.
Look at what's going
Just,
on today. The Hollywood 10. No,
yeah.
no. All right.
Uh,
Um, you're the movie buff. Uh, the Manchurian Candidate. All right. What was that movie about, and who was in it?
well, in the original, it was Sinatra, Lawrence Harvey as the guy who was the Manchurian candidate, or the one who was sent, or the one whose brain was messed around with, and Janet Leigh. And Henry Silver
Okay.
played
So,
the that thin Asian ballet or whatever.
all right. Now, what is the plot to the Manchurian Candidate?
Oh, and it just reminded me. I mentioned some cast members, and Angela Lansbury was in the cast. They represent Angela Lansbury is really the villain in the piece. They're trying to take over the government, have their own person in the Oval Office, and
Now,
they
who were
want
they? Who were they? Who were they? Who were the people that?
they.
Who were the bad guys that set up the Manchurian Candidate? Because I haven't seen the movie in a long time.
That's a good question. I go to what I remember from the movie, but I know the question you're asking, and I'm not quite sure. Now, who was Angela Lansbury, the villainess in the piece? Who was she representing? That's the question.
All right.
And
Okay. All right.
I have to say I'm not sure. Communist
Okay. The
side, I
Manchurian
have no
Candidate,
idea.
right, was about a bunch of bad guys who brainwashed a candidate and ran him for president, and he was going to win. And I think somehow, in the end, he's captured or caught, or it's far. But the point is, he's brainwashed, and he's going to become the president of the United States, and he's going to destroy America. So now, Vladimir Putin has wanted to destroy America, forever. Since he's
Yeah.
become in power, that's his goal. Now, and I'm not the first person to ask this, but let's take a hypothetical. If I'm not saying that Orange Julius Caesar is the Manchurian Candidate, but if he was, and his job was to dismantle the United States of America, to completely obliterate it, name one thing that fictional character would have done that this guy hasn't already done. All right? He's all of a sudden we're now backing Vladimir Putin. We're being told he wants to get out of NATO. He wants to get out of the UN. He has ordered his Hitler stepping defense secretary, the weekend Fox host, not even good enough to be the weekday host, the weekend host. Come on, serious B team bullshit here. Ordered the military cybersecurity, to suspend operations investigating Russia, to suspend trying to protect cyber attacks from Russia. What more could they do? He's destroying the economy with these idiotic tariffs. He's totally effed Ukraine with all sorts of lies.
I guess today's news is
eh,
he's withdrawing defense funding. He's
he's
withdrawing
withdrawn all
defense
defense
funding for
funding.
Ukraine.
He's got rid of the USAID, foreign aid. He understands nothing. I mean, if you look at it from, this is a person who wants to take America apart. People will go, "Oh, the stock market will crash." He loves the stock market. He'll stop what he's doing. No, he won't. I don't think he cares. And also the other
He
thing that
doesn't.
people will not know, and the other thing, I'm on a rant here. People have got to start understanding the dementia issue. This man is seriously mentally impaired. He is senile. And what does he do? He sits in the Oval Office where there's this guy who, he's sort of like John Fetterman from the old Groucho Marx show. And up next, Mr. President, here's this executive order. And they threw this big, giant thing, okay? And they hand it to him, and he takes a mark, and they'll go, and this executive order is the "we're going to screw somebody else" act, and this allows you to do this. And Trump will go, "Ooh, this is a good one." Oh, and then he signs it and he shows it. "Look, everybody, I signed
Yeah,
an
yeah,
executive order. I'm important." And then he goes off and plays golf while Elon Musk is dismantling the government.
exactly,
The coup has
exactly.
already happened. There was a story that came in just the other day on the Midas Touch Network. Uh, at the State Department, his frat boys, his teenage hackers, have gotten into the State Department's payment system, and their administrator, their root, which is a Unix term. In other words, they're in charge. They have back doors that they've installed. Say Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, says, "Okay, do this, pay this." These guys can block it, and the State Department can't do anything about it. They don't even know that these guys are there. I mean, if you want to take over the country, they're into the IRS. They are into how the United States. It turns out there was this agency, and I don't remember what it's called. It's the part of the Treasury Department that pays all the bills. It's the accounts payable department. It was run by apparently like 5 people, and the head of it has been there for 30 years, and they're just nerdy accountants whose jobs are to make sure that all the Social Security checks and all the Medicaid checks and all the checks that the government owes to contractors, all that they just get sent out, that they get paid. He got control of that, which means,
Yes, and
all right,
Tom, amid all of this chaos, we don't know who's actually doing the jobs you talked about with the hiring and then the firing and then the rehiring. I'm guessing a lot of those people have said, oh, enough, enough. I'm walking away from it. So who's doing the good or bad stuff that we're going to the moon over? I don't even know.
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
has he brought in
the
just?
thing is,
Has,
no, hasn't brought in anybody. They have just randomly fired people. Well, actually, that's not true. It turns out in the government and like in any business, they fired all the probationary employees. Now, what does that mean? All right, when I got hired at CBS, it was a union job. There was a probationary period, which was 90 days. For the first 90 days, the company could fire me for any reason whatsoever. They just, I don't like what you wore today. And boom, that's it. I'm gone. But after that 90 days, I'm a member. I am a
right,
permanent
right.
employee. I am under the union contract, and they can't fire me unless, for cause, unless I punched my boss in the face or do
Hmm.
something, criminal. Well, it's the same thing in the government, but you're a probationary employee not if you just got hired, but sometimes if you change jobs. There's a ton of people in the government who worked at this job for a while and now they wanted a raise. They got an opportunity for a better job. But because even though they've been in the government for 10 years, 15 years, they have to start out as a probie, as a probationary in this new job because they're training
Exactly.
to be this new job. And all these probies are training to replace older workers who are going to retire or are taking buyouts. That's how the system works. But
Right.
you can fire them in theory easier than everybody else because the union contracts might not protect them as much because it's a probationary period. So
Right.
they've
Right.
gutted all the people that are going to replace all the people that are going to leave. They fired all the nuclear workers, the people that actually build and handle and dismantle atomic weapons, and then frantically had to hire them back, but they couldn't hire them back because they closed out their email accounts, their government email accounts, and they didn't have any contact information. They couldn't find them. They fired all the people that were working on bird flu and Ebola, and now they're frantically trying to rehire them. This is not the way to
Idiocy.
run a
Yes.
business or a country. So the other thing, this was great. They hauled this whole freeze, the $2 billion freeze that the Supreme Court just overrode the government, said, you got to pay this money. They were basically trying not to pay $2 billion in contracts that they already owed. In other words, contractors around the world did the work. Congress
Right.
appropriated the funds. They did the work. They simply wanted to get paid. And he went, no, not going to do it. And, which is, of course, how he's run his businesses. But you can't do that. So a judge, rightfully appalled, put a stay on this and said, you got to do it. And then I think a week or so went by and the judge hauled the DOJ in again and said, you haven't done anything. Why haven't you done it? And the DOJ lawyer actually said to a federal judge, you got to understand, Judge, I haven't had a day off in 2 weeks. We don't have any staff. And now the thing about the DOJ is any law firm will tell you, look, we're up against the DOJ. They have an infinite number of lawyers. They have unlimited amounts of money. We're just a law firm. We are outgunned. We are outnumbered. But in this case, Elon Musk has fired so many of the lawyers at the DOJ and the top ones, the ones that know what's going on, that there's literally like
Yeah.
5 or 10 lawyers who are handling like 90 cases and they're exhausted and they have to go in and look at a judge and go, we don't want to do this because we don't want to do this. Give me any legal reason. Oh, I don't know. We'll get back to you on that. So
Yeah.
they, I mean, it's amazing. This guy wants to be a dictator, and he's gutting the entire government. So he's going to be a dictator who will go, FBI, go and arrest this person. No, you fired all the FBI guys, and we don't know what to tell you. Oh, we don't have lawyers to do this. He wants to start World War III, and the idiot Secretary of Defense is just announcing defense spending cuts, which is fine. I think we should absolutely have defense spending cuts, but it's incredible. We have a scenario now where if Trump invades Greenland, Denmark will invoke Article 5 of NATO. NATO will have to go to war with the United States to defend their own NATO member. And
Yes.
you
Yes.
know, and Canada?
My
Holy
only
shit.
question is at what point do we completely hit bottom? And we would laugh at that question a few months back with all the ranting we've been doing, but now it's beyond believability. There's no
It
scenario I can
is.
see
I mean,
that you can
there's no
point to and say, "Well, that." So
um a global depression. Um, I don't know. China said, "Hey, we're ready for. You want war? We'll give you war. You want a trade war? We'll give you a trade war." Now, the ones that are really sticking it to it is Canada. Canada, it turns out, is has a reputation for being the politest people on the planet, and they are. And who doesn't like Canada? I can't think of anything I would ever say bad about a Canadian or Canada. However, it turns out when you piss Canadians off, you you have poked the bear, man.
you,
They are pissed. He has managed to completely wipe out whatever conservative MAGA movement there was in Canada. He has united conservatives, liberals. He has given new life to the Liberal Party. Canada is united. They're not buying American products. They're not coming to America. There are huge resorts that when a Canadian calls in to cancel their reservation, their vacation plans, they get immediately sent to a supervisor who begs them. There goes, listen, we didn't vote for this guy. We're Americans. Please, please help. And they go, no, they're not buying American booze. The bourbon
right?
industry is dead. Because it turns out that in Canada, and this is cool, the provinces are the ones that control the alcohol. And by control the alcohol, they buy it. They determine what alcohol sits on Canadian liquor store shelves. And they pulled out
Hmm.
every American brand, period. And then put a tariff. Was it them or China? I think they put 100% tariff on Tesla cars, which is absolutely brilliant.
Well, yeah, that's maybe that's it. I mean, we always say follow the money. Um, I think maybe that's where we're headed. If enough people are following the money and saying, well, why can't I get my bourbon, or why can't I get my coffee, or why can't I get my bacon or eggs or whatever? If enough people really get pissed off about a lack of the things they like eating and drinking, maybe that begins the downfall. You need something material. You just can't sit back and talk about the ideology and this and that. If you take my bacon away from me, I'm going to be pissed off.
Oh,
I can
absolutely. And
relate
this
to
is
that.
exactly what's happening. It's exactly what's happening. Town halls all around the country in Republican ruby red districts, people are pissed. And what is the response?
Yeah,
The Republicans to these their constituents yelling at them? Oh, they were just Democrats. They were all plants. They were phony. No, they weren't.
yeah,
And the other
yeah.
responses don't have any more town halls. But it's going to get worse before it gets better.
I agree. I
So
agree.
anyway, this endeth the history lesson from our deep dark past of a week to 2 weeks ago. So let's get on with the plugs. Here we go. Serendipity, Seeking Intelligent Life on Earth, Maryland's blog. We all love it. Voicescapes Audio Theater, the best in audio theater and drama. We have a show coming up this Sunday. I can't believe I forgot the name of my own show. A half-hour radio show. A half-hour radio show. The cult hit from the 80s is still here. And, of course, my sister podcast, Get Off My Lawn, with me, where we talk about life, the universe, and basically I just rant about whatever has pissed me off that day. So anyway,
Oh my
here
goodness.
endeth the history lessons. We'll see you next time, and God knows what it'll be then. See ya.